In March of 2012, a young man from Kearney, Missouri at Humboldt Speedway for the USRA Ironman race showed the local racing establishment what the future of racing is going to look like for several years to come. Trevor Hunt, 13 years old, 3 years still away from getting his street driver's license, has qualified for the pole in this 1,000 to win. Being some 4 to 5 years younger than his nearest competitor, Trevor truly is one of the young men at the heart of the future of racing. How has this 13-year-old made the journey to this time and place in racing? Well, let's talk to Trevor and find out a little about Trevor the boy and also the speedy racer car driver that he is. We've got a chance to actually sit down with Trevor Hunt here, and we are going to ask Trevor 20 questions. So let's ask Trevor 20 questions. Trevor, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good. Yourself?
I'm okay. I'm okay. Didn't get my nap this afternoon, but other than that, I'm okay. Here's the first question. If you were not racing, what would you be doing?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Most likely, I'm too small to be doing football. I'm probably too short to be playing basketball, and I really don't desire baseball, and all that leaves left is probably soccer.
Yeah.
I'd probably still be doing soccer.
Yeah. Not into those games or any of that stuff, or computers, or?
You know, it's a good way to pass time, but I really don't enjoy just doing that all day.
Okay. If I said your race car was pushing, what would the car be doing?
Basically what a push is when the car goes into the corner and you have to turn the wheel left and the tires slide across the racetrack and they don't go left. Seeing this is a dirt track, so the grip levels are a lot lower, and so to overcompensate for that push you have to go into the corner and you have to slide the car, and when you slide the car then the car cannot push.
Sounds good to me. That's pretty close to what that's pretty close to what I would say. I think I would have probably just went with the front end pushing and said you couldn't steer it that it pushed out. But man, you're the racer. I ain't. Okay. Here's the next question. Who is the governor of Missouri? All right. How about Jay Nixon?
Okay.
We go with that. Okay. 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 Can you describe what side bite is?
Side bite is when the car goes into the corner, when you slide the car into the corner and it transfers weight to the right side because the tires are gripping. Then that's basically the right sides are gripping into the racetrack, and that is basically side bite.
Okay. We'll go with that. Sounds good to me. Here's the next one. Well, this is a tough one. How old are your mom and dad?
My dad has just recently had a birthday. In fact, yesterday. His birthday is April 9th. He turned 43, I believe. 43, I think. And I believe my mom is 40.
Okay. I'll have to take your word on that. Now, that one I don't know the answer to. Okay. What is downforce?
Downforce is the, I guess you'd call it force on the car as it's going through the air. That's air going over the car. Downward force from the air going over the car.
Which
is basically the best way I know how to describe it.
It sounds good to me. Kind of makes the car grip, pushes it down,
yes.
Holds it down. Okay. What is your favorite movie?
My favorite movie, that's a tough one.
I'm trying to remember the one with Tom Cruise, and I can't remember where he races the NASCAR. Days of Thunder.
Oh, Days of Thunder. That is, I have to say that's a good one.
That's one of your top ones?
I'd have to go with Talladega Nights.
Oh yeah, okay, that was great too. Kind of the same theme, but only with a little more humor in it. Yeah, okay. Okay. Why does your team grind tires off before a race?
When you go out for a race and the track is slicked off, when you put heat in the tires and you spin them coming off the corner, it puts an extreme heat spike on the tires, and what it does, it forms a glaze over the tires is what we call it, and it's just basically a shiny. And when you get that glaze over the tires, it takes away grip from them. So when you grind them, it takes that glaze off and it returns the grip to the tires.
You more or less get a new surface of rubber. You're grinding off that glaze.
Yes, you're grinding off the old surface.
Yeah, kind of expensive to do. How often can you? How many times can you grind a tire? I'm throwing in an extra question.
You could grind the tires as many times as you want, but sooner or later you're going to lose the edges on the tires because there's always sharp edges on the tire, and as you race the tire and you grind it, it wears that edge off, and when you lose that edge, it can't bite into the track as well, and it just slips across it.
Now I know you've been to California quite a few times.
Yes.
How far is it from California to Missouri?
If I had to
Either
guess,
you can either give me mileage or how long it takes to fly there. I'll give you a multiple choice.
Typically, I think we've only had 1 or 2 direct flights, and I believe they were 3.5 hours, somewhere in there.
That sounds about like what I've went through too. Okay, how many lug nuts on a wheel on your race car?
There are 5.
Boy, I mean, whew, we got that one. Who really runs the Hunt racing team, Mom or Dad?
Dad does most of it. When we go to the racetrack, she's always getting our video and our timing for the racetrack to see if the track's slowing down, speeding up, and to see if our competitors are as quick or faster than us. And the videotaping is so we can come back and watch it at home and find out my mistakes and learn from them, and also see what I did correct and learn from that as well.
Okay. How many barrels in your carburetor on your race car?
There are 4. 4 barrels.
4 barrels. So which motor are you guys running if you're running the 4-barrel?
It's a 350 Chevy small block.
You're not running crate motors?
No, we're not.
We're not. Okay. What has been your favorite win in racing so far?
Oh, man. 2008. I take that back, 2007. I was 8 years old, and we went out for a big national go-kart race. It's called the Junior Kahuna, and it was out at Lasosky Speedway in Warrensburg, Missouri. And it was a 50-lap race with 2 25-lap segments and a fuel break in the middle. Mm-hmm. And you could also give your driver something to drink, water, Gatorade. And that was all.
Yeah.
And we went out there, and I actually had a broken wrist at the time. I had broken my left wrist 2 weeks before, and I had a red cast on. And we called up the track, said, will you let us race with a cast on? And they said, you know what, as long as I could get a firm grip on the steering wheel, mm-hmm. that they would let us race. Well, I had a problem because in the go-karts, you had to grip the steering wheel like this. You had to turn your wrist. Well, I had that cast on my arm, so I couldn't turn my wrist. So to solve that problem, Dad took a screwdriver, pulled the shaft out of it, drilled a hole through my steering wheel, and put a bolt through the end of it and attached it to the steering wheel so I could hold onto the steering wheel like this by the screwdriver and turn.
Yeah.
So, and went out, and we got halfway down there on the trip, and I was a little discouraged. I was like, I don't think I may not be able to do this. It's 50 laps. It's going to be a long race. And we said, all right, if you qualify well, we'll run it. If you qualify towards the back, we'll just stay off of it and run it next year. Well, I qualified on the pole. And I said, well, you know what? Let's go ahead and run it fast. And I went out there, and I led the first 25-lap segment. they had a rule if you lap a car that car had to go off, and they started the race with, I believe, 25 racers, and at the halfway point there were 11 left, and after the halfway point we started back up, and I led all the way from there as well and won the race. So that was I'd have to say that would be my favorite one.
Yeah, I was going to say overcoming adversity and being able to still run that good. Yeah, that would be a lot of fun, without a doubt. What is stagger?
Stagger is the difference in the size of the rear and front tires. You have your left front and your right front, and typically the right front tire will be bigger than the left front, and you measure the circumference of both tires, and the stagger is the difference in circumference between the two tires. And you measure stagger in the front and the rear.
I was going to say, most of them do a lot of work with stagger on the rear tires, right? So that, yes, as they say, it's kind of like a Coke bottle rolling around the...
Yeah, and what stagger does, it is there to help the car steer through the corner. Because say you didn't have any stagger, you had even stagger, then that would cause a tight or a push feeling in the car. So you put stagger in the rear, and that takes in, just like you said, the Coke bottle, it'll turn the car through the corner, and that'll take away some of that pushing feel.
Okay. How many quarts in a gallon?
4.
Woo. Wow. He was quick on that one. If a car was too tight, what would the car be doing then?
If the car was too tight, that would mean that it's not pushing quite yet. The front tires are not sliding, but the steering wheel is heavy. We'll say the steering wheel is hard to turn. We usually have a scale that we measure that on, 1 through 10. 1 being the least and 10 being the most. So if I come in and it's really bad tight, I would say it's a 9, an 8 or a 9, maybe a 10 even. And Dad and I kind of have that scale figured out, and he makes adjustments accordingly.
Yeah. Okay. What's the square root of 9?
3, I think. I think it's 3.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I had to ask my next door neighbor, so I don't feel too bad. I wasn't sure myself. Okay. Well, Trevor, all I can say is it's been fun. The 20 questions, I've enjoyed it. I hope you have. And I hope for everybody that this kind of gives you a little bit of Trevor the young man and Trevor the racer. So thanks a lot, Trevor. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
All right. Now we've talked to the family. We've talked to Trevor. We're going to talk to a neighbor now. We're going to talk to Chad Feather. Chad, what is Trevor Hunt the kid like as you know him?
He's a normal teenager. He has a good sense of humor, pretty intelligent, and he does really well in school. That's what his parents' requirements for him race.
Uh-huh.
And he's pretty good to hang out with too. He has lots of friends.
Yeah. Is he funny?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Now, and you know Chad pretty good, you know Trevor pretty good. I'm sorry, Chad, because you just live just out the garage door here, right?
Yeah.
So you guys have known each other for quite a while?
7 or 8 years probably.
Yeah. Okay. And I know you're in a different grade, so we'll understand your answer to this probably a little bit, but do his classmates know what he does on weekends?
Last year, I'm pretty sure it was last fall, Channel 5 News came out and they did a whole segment on Trevor, and I think a lot of his friends and a lot of his classmates saw that, so they have a pretty good understanding of what he does.
Okay. And of course, kind of the follow-up question to that is do any of the girls think what Trevor does in a race car is really macho or anything, or do they not even care?
I think they find it pretty interesting. I see him with a lot of girls a lot, and I think they find it pretty good.
I was going to say, I've noticed now, I know he's pretty young, but boy, race car drivers really attract the girls. You can go in the pit area after the races and they're everywhere, so I guess, it's kind of a attraction thing, I guess. But they kind of think it's pretty neat.
I think so, from what I've seen. Like you said, I'm a couple grades ahead, but from what I've seen, I think a lot of the girls like it, and they're pretty interested in him, I think.
Wow. There you go. Well, okay, way to go. Let me ask you this, Chad. Have there been any opportunities where you thought, boy, I'd like to trade places with Trevor for just one night and be in that race car?
You know, he's a pretty successful driver, and such as the King of America race he won a couple weeks ago. And yeah, there's a lot of times I thought, yeah, I wish I could be in his first place with him and drive his race car for a night. And I think it'd be pretty cool to do that.
Boy, any of us would. I mean, let's face it, 13 or 70, which I'm almost going to be here pretty soon. Anybody, I think, would want to trade for just one night. It'd be a lot of fun, wouldn't it?
I think so.
Let me ask you this. Have you got your driver's license yet?
Now you have my permit.
You got a permit. You're getting close, though. Yeah. Won't be long, then.
A couple months.
Yeah. Well, you're going to have a jump on Trevor then. You're going to have to haul him around probably in the car and on the street rather than him driving. So you're going to be one up on him, man. Maybe he can do you some good with the girls then.
Maybe, hopefully.
Okay. Let me ask you this. You've known Trevor for 7 years, you say?
Yeah.
Okay. What can you tell us about Trevor that no one knows?
He is deathly afraid of spiders. He cannot stand spiders. You put a spider in front of him, he'll run away from it. That's one thing. He does not like spiders at all.
Okay, maybe they shake down that race car every time. You know, when they take it out, make sure there's no spiders in there. Or never know, there might be one in the race car. Maybe that one makes him so fast. Could be. Okay, Chad, hey, I appreciate you sitting down and talking with us about Trevor, and I'm sure you guys will know each other for many years to come and have lots of stories to tell as time goes on.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. There are many race fans and racers themselves that have some doubts about a 13-year-old competing with adults out on the racetrack. Now we're going to have an opportunity to meet with Trevor's parents, Russell and Carrie, and they're going to tell us a little bit about how this all came about and what their feelings are about Trevor out there on the track competing with adults. Let's talk to Russell and Carrie. Well, welcome everybody, and we are here at the Hunt household, which is also the shop and the home of the Hunt racing family. And we're going to talk just a little bit with Russell and Carrie about Trevor and how this whole racing thing came about with Trevor. And so let's meet, turn around here. We got Russell and Carrie. Nice to see you guys tonight. Beautiful evening we've got here. We're
awesome weather.
Right here in the, well, I guess we could call it the Hunt Racing Cave or something like that.
That's right.
But guys, where did this venture with Trevor begin?
When he was 5.5, that middle of that summer, he was watching TV in the family room, and I was racing sprint cars at the time. I was down in the garage working on my sprint car, and there was a documentary come on about Jeff Gordon, and it was a little 30-minute program, and he found it. We had nothing to do with it. When it was over, obviously it talked about Jeff Gordon beginning his career in go-karts. When it was over, Trevor asked his mom, could he have a go-kart when he was a little older like Jeff Gordon? She didn't tell me till later that night when we went to bed. She told me about him asking her about the go-kart, and Monday, instead of going to work, I went and bought a go-kart. We went racing that weekend, and he picked it up quick, and we stayed with it.
Yeah. I think you might have actually moved into my next question, because I was going to ask you at what point, but I think you pretty well described it already. At about 5 or 6, then that's pretty much when you decided that, hey, he's not going to play football. He doesn't want to play basketball. It won't be baseball. We're going to do something else. And let me ask you this, Russell. Did any of this decision maybe come from the fact that you had raced in the past?
It made it a lot easier, but we talked about it early on because I really had a passion for racing early on, not in my life, in his. And my wife and I, when we met, I was already racing, and I wanted to stay involved in it. But I wasn't going to push it on him. We joked when he was a baby that I was going to give him the option to race or stay in school. And little did we know that's what's coming to that.
Yeah.
But it was 100% his idea.
Yeah.
We didn't have anything to do with it. I didn't push it on him. We never talked about it, actually.
Yeah.
He knew that his dad had raced before, and so he kind of knew about racing growing up.
Right.
Yeah, he finally came to us and said
Yeah.
that's what he wanted to do. And we were doing other things at that time. He was little soccer, pee-wee soccer, things like that, but racing took hold.
Yeah. Well, I was just wondering, I just wanted to make sure there wasn't any real determining factor, like he might have a really big right foot when he was born or anything like that was saying, hey, this guy might be a race car driver, maybe we better give him a chance.
No, the honest truth of that, we kind of tailored our life more around horses. My wife really had a passion for horses growing up. And I really thought that he would take to horses way more so than race cars because he had more of his mom's calm demeanor about him. I was a little wilder, I guess you'd say. And I never dreamed he would take to race cars. Never dreamed. He decided he wanted to try it, and he was good at it. So about a year and a half of racing and soccer, and racing got to a point to where it's all day Saturday, so is soccer, all day on Saturday. So we told him he had to make a decision. There wasn't enough time for both at the level we was getting to, and he decided he wanted to race. So.
Well, Kerry, I think you told me something at the racetrack the other night, I think down at Valley, and not to embarrass Trevor too much, but I think you said he couldn't throw a ball very well either. So you thought maybe there might be another way.
He's too little for football. Maybe basketball, but not baseball.
Okay, usually regardless of what dads say or think, man, this has always got to go by mom. I mean, that's just a fact of life. It's the way it is in families. Was this a hard decision for you to make, Carrie?
No, not really. I mean, it's a dangerous sport, and everybody knows that, but he has so much safety equipment on him that I feel better about it, knowing that he's as protected as we could make him.
All right.
So some of the steps that we've taken, I think, have been, I questioned him at first, but then he goes out and proves me wrong with his driving ability. Because I don't know, I'm mom. That's my job to worry.
Yeah. All I can say is, I wish you two could have seen your faces down at Humboldt the night that he won the big race down there on Saturday night. I mean. If there's anything any brighter than sunshine, it's got to be a parent's face when a child does really well. And boy,
I've won a lot of races in my time when I was racing, a lot of big races. He's won way more than I ever did on a large level. He had a couple go-kart wins that meant a lot to us early on when he was young, but that win at Humboldt, first win in a B-Mod, that ranked up there. It would be hard for me to sit there and say that wasn't the most proud that I've ever been of him as a young man.
Right.
I mean, he really done a great job that night and matured a lot.
Right. Russell, I guess this is kind of a question for you. Trevor started in go-karts, winged micros. Tell me if this is wrong. Now, this is kind of the way I understand it. Then you guys are actually racing on the West Coast, and he's running in a midget series, and you guys are going back and forth on the weekends, which I can't imagine what the family life or whatever had to go through, because you've got a business yourself. But can you kind of take us through the process of how you started with that, and kind of how you felt maybe where those progressions need to take place as far as Trevor's career was?
The West Coast thing was honestly I guess you'd say it was meant to be. I rarely take a day off. I guess you'd call me a workaholic. But occasionally I'll take a Sunday afternoon off and just kind of recuperate it, if you want to put it that way. And we lived out in the country at that time and had no high-speed internet, and I just really hated getting on the internet there. But I was bored, and I knew if I went outside I'd get started on a project and have to work the rest of the day. So I Got on the internet on my laptop, and I'm scrolling through a Microsprint website, because that's what we was doing at the time. And you had to go through a lot of advertisements to get to the stuff you wanted to read at the bottom, and I'm flipping down through it, and I hit the cursor, the little pad, too hard, and the cursor was on an advertisement for the company out on the West Coast that we'd wound up driving for. And when it came up, it even made me mad because I didn't want to be there.
So, yeah.
For whatever reason, it caught my attention, and I read through it, and an hour later we were filling out an online application to get Trevor into this program. And they had 900 and some few applicants, and long story short, they chose, in the end, I think they chose 11 of those to drive for them, and he was one of them.
Trevor didn't even know that we'd done that.
Yeah, we asked him after we had done the online application.
Yeah.
Because we didn't think that it would amount to anything.
You know, did he want to do it?
Yeah.
And sure enough, it was a week later, and then that day was the deadline to fill out, to apply for it.
Since we're talking about this, excuse me for interrupting, can we mention who this was? I mean, we're talking about this, and I don't know who it was.
Winter Circle.
Okay.
Call them a talent scout. Call them, you pay them to go drive their cars. They have really good equipment, a lot of training, a lot of classroom training. You work more with professional type engineers. Yes, it's more on the line of a professional race team.
School? Would you call it a school? Or?
Yes, yes. There's a lot of classroom involved. There's a lot of training on track. All of the test days and practice days they have radios and communicate back and forth, and they do a lot of teaching. So yes, you can call it a school.
Right.
It provided Trevor the opportunity to work with somebody other than Dad. It taught him how to talk to a crew about his car and what it was doing and what it needed, and gave him that experience. Because up to that point, Dad was crew chief.
Yeah.
And it did change us, because when we got the call that they wanted us to be in the program, it was a week later we were flying out to do the on-track testing. I think they kept 40-something kids to do that.
Yeah.
Trevor was the youngest kid at that point that they had ever chosen. 12 was the youngest you could be, and run the Focus Midgets. And he was 11 at the time, but he would be 12 in time for race season. So he made it in, and we wound up winning a couple pavement championships in the USAC Midget. I don't remember, 8 or 9 races, I think. And also won a little dirt track Focus Midget Championship, also running Wally Pancrat's car.
Oh, my.
Legendary Wally Pancrat's.
Oh, I mean, yes.
We learned a ton from him. He's a great guy.
Yeah, anybody around open wheel racing, midgets, sprints, whatever, would know Wally Pancrat's. Oh, man, without a doubt.
Jeff Gordon actually drove for Wally Pancrat's.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool to meet him.
Yeah.
He called me. We had met him. He was the instructor at one of the schools that Trevor went through, one of the classroom sessions. And he had an unfortunate incident with one of his drivers that had lost his life and had a car open, and he called me in February of last year and just inquiring if we'd be interested. And of course, I'm like, are you kidding?
Yeah.
Who wouldn't be interested in driving for Wally Pancrat? So we took the opportunity on our off weekends. We had already committed to doing a full season in the pavement car. So all of the USAC dirt focus races that didn't conflict with the pavement, we flew back out again and raced with Wally. So we got to go out, I think, 36 times total.
Oh, my. I guess, Carrie, you learned how to pack real good.
Yes.
And quick.
Absolutely.
And what would you call it? Just the absolute necessities.
That's right.
Right.
That had to be quite an experience to go through that. I mean, even for some adults, that would be a lot to handle psychologically and physically, and several other levels. But man,
I think he handled it better than I did.
Now we're talking 36 weeks.
Weekends, yeah.
Weekends. Okay. Wow, that's still a bunch.
Yeah.
Goodness.
We stayed out a full week, I think twice. The rest of them we would fly out either Thursday or Friday, and then come back either Sunday or Monday, depending on the schedule.
All right. While we're on this subject, also in the decision to go with the B-Mod racing that you're doing this year, I think you were saying that you had an opportunity to do another type of racing. What was kind of your thought process on that? Whoever wants to answer that, as far as not doing the pavement deal but going with the B-Mods.
The airfare alone going out there was incredibly expensive, as you can understand, that many trips for the three of us, because Mom's not willing to miss a race and Dad's not either. and he's too young to fly by himself. So we all three went. Wally really wanted us back. He wanted us to run a full season with him and didn't care if it was pavement, dirt, or both. Mm-hmm. He just really liked Trevor. Was like another dad to Trevor. They really understood each other well and had a good time with each other. The Ron Sutton group wanted us back also. Down the road, the Ron Sutton group really wanted him in I think it's NASCAR wheeling modifieds, but the youngest they'll let him in is 14. And we thought about it a lot, and for the amount of money it takes to go out there, we felt like we could get into the B-Mods, because our plan was to wind up in a full-size car anyway. I talked to Wally quite a bit, talked to some people here, and I felt like we could get more experience and get kind of ahead of the game already. We had a full season in the midgets. He loved them. We loved them. He had won several races and won a couple championships, and I just felt like he was ready for that next level. And a local guy helped me make the decision to try it, John O'Neill Jr. He's kind of our mentor, if you will, in the modifieds. I've been friends with John a long time, and I just called him and I said, "Hey, what do you think?" And he said, "The only way to know is to try it." He said, "Based on your experience, it's probably going to be okay." And I talked to Dennis Shrout at Valley Speedway and asked him, would he let us race if we bought one? And we had won a couple micro races out at Valley, and he said sure. So John helped me find an old car. And we got that last October, and we tried a couple races, and he had great car control.
Yeah.
We didn't win right off the bat, but we didn't get in a lot of trouble either. So that kind of told me that I think he's ready for it. John and I talked about it, and John felt he was ready for it. He actually was probably more excited about it than I was. So we put him together a new car this winter, and here we go.
Yeah. I think, as I said to Trevor in the interview that we did on the front stretch, he showed last year that he had the ability to be there and have that on-track presence that he has. But this year, he proved that he's competitive.
That's right.
And that's a whole different story to come out, because if I remember right, out of the 4 nights, it was at a 7th, a 5th, and a 1st, and you had a DNF one night. Is that correct? For the Humboldt King of America.
This 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
We had two DNFs. We actually had a third Sunday night before that at I-35. Then we run second Wednesday night, the first night, and we won Saturday night.
Right.
And we won, I think, 2 heat races.
Yeah. But I think if there was any doubt in anybody's mind that Trevor belonged there, I think that series of races so far this year has shown that the ability is there, and that he's going to be there to compete. So he deserves where he's at.
That probably is the most exciting thing for me with the whole thing that's happening this year, is the support from the veteran drivers.
Mm-hmm.
He's really had a lot of support from the guys that's been doing it a long time. The A-Mod guys, Scotty Martin, we run second to him this past weekend, Saturday night at Valley. And he come up in tech and shook his hand and said, great race. And, the Jeremy Chambers, another one down in Humboldt, we raced with him all 4 days. And he's been really great at helping Trevor along and helping him understand the do's and don'ts and different things that he can do to help himself. And so that part's been really good.
Okay. There are people out there that are going to criticize you guys for taking a 13-year-old and putting him on the track with adults and being in that competitive atmosphere that anybody that's been around a racetrack knows goes along with racing and adults. Okay?
Sure.
And I think, Carrie, if I asked you this question at Valley, or we talked about it, and I'd kind of like for you to answer that if you could, about how you feel about those people that might criticize you for Trevor racing with adults.
We're the first ones who are going to pull him off the track if we don't think he's ready. Obviously, we wouldn't have him out there if we didn't think he had the ability or wasn't at that stage where he was ready. I don't know what to say to those people. He's ready.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's his time, isn't it?
Just come watch.
Yeah.
And
Watch
it's the
him.
same thing
Yeah.
I tell, the first conversation was Dennis Shrout and then Ron Whitworth at Humboldt. As I approached the track owners to ask permission, because, a lot of the kids out there, they get fake birth certificates and the parents lie, and all you're doing is teaching your kid to lie. I talked with the fine folks at Lamont today, actually, because we were going to try to run Lamont some. And they've got a strict rule that 14 is their youngest, and I said thank you, and we will come when we're 14. That's not the way we're going to do it. We're going to do it the right way, and if they have the rules that don't let us race, then we'll, we're fortunate enough to have a few tracks that encourage us, and we'll go race.
Right. Okay. What about the safety and injury aspect of racing? I know the answer to this before I ask it. Do you feel comfortable with Trevor on the track running at the speeds that these cars go? And I'm not so sure the Focus midgets probably on asphalt weren't faster.
They were faster.
Yeah,
And the rollover possibility with those is much greater than a B-mod. But
the micro sprints at Green Valley, last year Trevor won a micro sprint race the middle of last summer at Green Valley, and in those cars we're allowed to have instrumentation in them. And the equipment that I had in the car was GPS operated. So we had an accurate speed. And at the end of the straightaway, he was running 96 miles an hour.
At Sweet Springs?
At Valley.
At Valley. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I wasn't listening.
The B-mods don't go near that fast at Valley. And the micro sprint weighed 700 pounds and is inch and a quarter tubing. So it's a lot lighter weight car that likes to flip. The modifieds are heavier. There's a lot more metal around you protecting you. And they do get upside down, but it's not common.
Yeah. This is maybe irrelevant, but actually I think the last fatal accident that I saw was a lightning sprint. And I think there have been accidents in B-mods, but it's been...
And it's with
part of sports.
Yeah.
Period.
Football.
Right.
You see...
Look at all the concussions that they're having in
time.
football right now. I mean, that's, you don't want to call it an epidemic, but
No.
they're really having serious concerns with concussions in football today.
All right.
And
It's any sport, I think. The safety.
There's a
gear.
possibility in any
Yes.
of them.
And these days, 15-year-olds have their driver's license
Uh-huh.
to drive on the streets. My kid at least has a helmet and a Hans device and a 5-point harness. And if I could take all that and put it in my car for him to drive when
There
he's
you go.
15, I would.
Yeah,
to go out
exactly.
on the road.
Yeah.
That's more dangerous, I think, than him being on the track.
Yeah.
At least we have a little control over what he wears, his fireproof equipment, head to toe, and his helmet and Hans device, like I said. So I don't worry about his safety equipment so much. I worry about other drivers driving.
I think both of you have told me that Trevor really is just a normal 13-year-old. He's just a 13-year-old racing a race car. And I think, as you said, Carrie, if you needed some proof, just let me take you up to his bedroom.
Yeah, go film his room.
And you could see the clothes scattered around and whatever. But he's really just like any other teenager, other than he races a race car.
Yeah.
We probably need to give thanks to the Kearney School District for that. They've been really good to us. They've let us miss quite a bit of school to race.
Uh-huh.
Of course, he's an AB student. If he gets a C on a grade card, he don't get to race. But the school districts really worked with us the last few years, especially last year with as much travel as we had, to make sure he had time to to make the work up, and that allowed him to remain a kid.
Yeah, I was wondering how that worked out. It had to be some type of something with the school district as far as homework. And
their policy is for every day you miss, you get 2 days after you come back to make up the work and turn it in, and still get full credit. So that's the way it was. If he missed 1 day, he had 2 days when he got back to make it up. Or,
as far as Trevor being a regular 13-year-old, this is where I was saying if there was any way we could embarrass Trevor. This might be a good chance to do it, about him just being a regular kid.
He enjoys doing things that other kids do. He runs around the neighborhood and, plays basketball and with the kids around, and he likes to ride his four-wheelers, and he goes hunting a lot. He loves to go deer hunting and duck hunting and fishing.
This regular kid stuff.
Yeah.
Regular kid stuff. Either one of you can answer this. Where do you see his career going, and what are you kind of looking for? I mean, to me, of course, it would be, hey, NASCAR, yeah, I know where we're going. But,
for the last 2 or 3 years, he's really focused on trying to get to NASCAR. He does understand that it's a long road and a very difficult road. But he's well grounded. At this point, what are we looking for? Enjoy racing.
Yeah.
That's
just
all
enjoy going to the racetrack on the weekends as a family.
Trevor's the only child. There's just the 3 of us, and this is what we do. We do it together. We do it all week, and all weekend. I guess you'd say it's our life.
Yeah. Racing is really a pretty simple process. You're laughing. You need good to great equipment. You need people who know how to make that equipment hook up to a racetrack. You need a driver that can save that car so that it'll make it to the end of the race. But you still have to use enough equipment to win the race. And then, last but not least, you've got to have luck. Now, luck is when preparedness meets opportunity, is what has been explained to me. And right now, you guys got it all working.
The preparedness part, there's no one we race against that works any harder before they leave home. We spend a lot of time on our race car at home. A lot of time. Trevor spends a lot of time on the race car at home. There's a board over behind you, and the stuff in red is his list. The stuff in green is my list, and you can look at that in a while. His list is a lot longer than mine.
Yeah.
You've always said that most races are won at home.
One in the shop.
Races are won at home before you ever leave. I've always believed that, and that's the way we work. We just like we talked about his grades. We can't race if he gets a C on a grade card. I won't load a dirty race car in the trailer.
Yeah.
I don't believe in it. So, we have to have our maintenance done. We have to have the car ready to go to the racetrack. I don't like to get there and unload it and have to work on it before I can race it.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of it, is we're prepared the majority of the time, and we've been very fortunate to become associated with a lot of people that know what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's helping us.
Yeah. All I can say is thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate you sitting down with us and talking about what your feelings and your thoughts are, about what's going on, because it's, I'm sure, a learning process for everybody. You've kind of been through it, but still, it's not your son. That's different.
It's still, we learn every day, and the big car racing is so different than anything I've ever done. So different. Everything I've ever raced, you want the front wheels in the air. And these cars want to be up on the right front trying to pop a reverse wheelie, I guess.
Yeah.
It's so different. We're learning as we go, and every race is a new challenge. We're lucky. Trevor's got a great feel of the car. He does a great job telling me what the car's doing. I mean, we would not be here without his ability to relay what he feels the car doing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, folks, I hope that this will help clear up any thoughts or questions that you might have about a family and a 13-year-old being in racing and racing with adults and being out there and being competitive. And once again, I want to thank Russell and Carrie for sitting down with us and telling us about it. And hope you've enjoyed it.
So nice race for Trevor Hunt out of Liberty, Missouri in the number 99 car, the 99H. He led that one wire to wire, and he takes home the big money in the USRA River's Edge Scrap Management.
What's that?
B-Mod A feature.
Well, Trevor, we were down in the pit area there a little bit earlier, man, and you were talking about, man, the car's just not right. I don't like it. Something's got to change. And then you come out here and you win this A feature.
Oh my gosh, they farmed the track right before we came out here, so that got me a little worried. We thought we had a great setup, and man, they had this front stretch beautiful. I mean, there was tons of grip on it. We were able to get a nice drive on the start. We got around the 12 car, and away we went.
Man, a terrific run for you, like you say. Man, there wasn't anybody within 5 or 6 car lengths of you. I mean, a very impressive victory.
It's a great feeling. This is my first victory in B-Mod. We got FVP along with us. That's a brand of filters, radiators. They sell just about everything. You'll have to check out their website, fvpparts.com. It's a great company. We've also got IXL. They're basically like a Gatorade, but they're a lot better for you. A lot more potassium, a lot less sugar, and taste a lot better.
I was going to say, I got one of them FVP batteries in my car, but that's beside the point. But anyway, Trevor, congratulations, man, on a great run. I know last year you showed him you can do it. You did it this year. Way to go.
Thank you. I also have to thank Awesome Racewear and my mom and dad and Ryan Reuter with Sidebiter Chassis. I couldn't do that without them. This is amazing.
Trevor Hunt, winner for the B-Mod A main here at the Hummer. Way to go, guys.
Thank you.